I'm Chris Beachum, managing editor of Gold Derby, here with Hugh Bonneville, star of the new film Downton Abbey, A New Era. Hugh, when you first got this script, it's such an adventure for you and several of the cast members. What was your first reaction?
Damn, I've got to go to the south of France. That was one of my reactions. It was a complete treat. As always, the sort of miraculous nature of Julian Fellowes' writing, this world he's created, is that he manages to spin many plates at the same time, and all one's favourite characters are there. And what's glorious about this film is that some of the characters that visited us in the TV show are back. So that's really nice for audiences to say, "Oh my gosh, there's so and so." So that was delicious as well, to see that some familiar faces were returning from the past. But for myself personally, it was a great adventure. Robert goes on a great journey, literally and emotionally, and so it was great to explore that.
How long were you in France for that part of the shoot?
That was at the end, and we had to quarantine for a week when we got there, which was a tough call, staying in a lovely hotel on the Côte d'Azur. And then we filmed for 2 weeks in the villa, which was a glorious spot, as you've seen.
I look back on it. What was a favorite moment of shooting there on location?
It's probably a scene that has absolutely no effect on the story whatsoever, but was just glorious. It was going out on the boat and just spending a day pottering around on this beautiful launch on the coast, on the Riviera, with a bunch of friends, frankly. What's not to like?
Well, I want to say, speaking of that boat scene and a lot of the scenes, over the years, your crafts team is just unbelievable. You must be so proud every time you see a finished product put together with the costumes and the cinematography and the production design.
Well, we had a wonderful cinematographer, Andrew Dunn, who's given it a beautiful texture to a real cinematic suite, particularly with the light of the south of France. That's magical. And Anna Robbins, our costume designer, who joined us on the 5th season of the TV show, has really gone from strength to strength. And her eye for detail and her sense of character within costume is extraordinary. And her diligence in finding old patterns but made afresh. Finding vintage clothing and remaking the beautiful dresses, and for the boys this time round who went to the south of France, beautiful linen suits and so on. And Donald Woods, our designer, with his extraordinary eye that he's had from the very first episode of creating this beautiful fictional world that we inhabit and the audiences love. So no, I think it all comes together in this film.
We're not going to publish this for a couple of weeks so to let people watch the film. So I'm going to mention spoilers in our interview today. And I'll mention it in the article as well, in case people want to avoid. But in my screening room, which was about 50 people seeing the film early, there was a literal gasp when it was the possibility was brought up that maybe you weren't, or that your father was a Frenchman. What did you think about that plot point?
That was fun, actually. That was great. In fact, Julian and I did discuss that whole area, because in fact it was revealed much earlier in the script, and I said it'd be more fun to actually only discover it when we get to France. And so sure enough, that's what happened. And there was a tiny, if ever anyone watches it again a second time, there was a tiny idea that Simon Curtis, the director, had to sort of underline the possibility, which is that myself and Jonathan's character, Monsieur de Montmirail, might be brothers, was that a physical gesture. He said, "Can we find a physical gesture that you could share?" So just as we enter the house for the first time, we both scratch our ear, as if there's some subliminal connection between us. But it was delightful. It's a lovely idea that Robert's very, existence is called into question, that he might be the son of a Frenchman, which of course the first thing he says is, Mr. Carson would be appalled and he'd probably resign from ever wanting to talk to Robert again. So that was fun, but it actually did throw up, it does throw up an existential question for Robert. What if he isn't who he thought he was? And with the prospect of his mother, now in decline, and then as we discover that his wife, there may be jeopardy there for his wife. He's got everything crashing over him, and it's all too much at one point. But of course, in the world of Julian Fellowes and Downton Abbey, things work out all right in the end.
Yeah, he had three tragic possibilities all circling him at the same time.
That's right. And it all, as I say, all comes to a head in France, but it's a nice place to have it.
You and Elizabeth McGovern have had such great chemistry over all the seasons and now the two movies. What is it about the two of you that works so well together?
We just have a shorthand. We'd actually played husband and wife a couple of times before Downton came along, and I've worked with Simon, her husband, before. He's directed me, and he directed this movie. So we have a great friendship over the years. Anyway, and that's, I think, it really translates onto the screen. We have a shorthand. We know how to support each other. She's a fine actress to work with, and she puts up with me being cantankerous. So we just get on well.
You mentioned your mother revealed at the end of the first film that she's getting sicker and sicker. And in this film, you all, the whole family, some of the staff is in the room with her at the very end, and very, very end of this movie as well. What was that last scene like shooting with Dame Maggie Smith?
It was a moment of great reflection for me. And I realized actually when we were shooting it, and she took my hands the first time she touched my character in all the episodes. So it was very moving for all sorts of reasons. And really, I suppose I was personally moved thinking as we shot that scene, what a privilege we've had to have this icon of British and the British entertainment industry, this mistress of stage and screen in our company on and off for 12 years. And this was so that made it additionally poignant. And I just, again, realized how fortunate we'd been to work with this staggeringly talented actor.
Well, we've been enjoying her for decades, not just films, but television, Broadway, West End there in England. You're an actor, so you know what works, what doesn't work. Why has she worked? What about her has made her a legend?
It's very hard to say. When you see great talent, you just know it. You just recognize it. And we are fortunate to have, in Britain at the moment, some fine legendary actors. I would include Penelope Wilton, Dame Penelope Wilton as one of them. But Judi Dench and Maggie are right up there. And what is it? I don't know. It's her ability to coin a phrase or to turn a phrase into something that you hadn't expected it to be. You can read a script and think, oh, that's funny or that's poignant, but she just has an ability to edge it up a notch or to make the troughs deeper and the peaks higher, and to spin a line in a way that you hadn't heard before, which makes it unique. And she has a razor sharp wit off screen, and she can bring that on the screen as well. And it's and she has a deep well of humanity as well, which of course makes any actor relatable. So it's a combination of things, and plus the unquantifiable it factor. She's got it, whatever it is, she has it.
Each time we see you all reunited, there's always a new character or two, and you've got several this time. But I really wanted to bring up the other half of the storyline of the movie, which is the film crew coming in to shoot at Downton while you're gone. When you have actors coming in this case, I guess it'd be Dominic West and Laura Haddock and Hugh Dancy, do you or any of the other actors give them advice on what they're about to get themselves into?
Well, apparently I was very naughty to Laura. I'd forgotten this, but she said, if we don't like a line, what do we do? Do we have to sort of talk to Julian? I said, oh, no, you can just improvise. We improvise most of the script. Julian doesn't mind at all, which of course is the absolute opposite. He's slaved away over these scripts for ages, and is adamant that we don't change anything without a good reason. So that was a bit naughty of me, probably. But they're basically all the newcomers to the show when they arrive. They are like fresh meat, because we've all chewed on each other for so long that to have some fresh meat is delightful. And the casting has always been sympathetic. They've always, our wonderful casting director Jill Trevelyan has always brought on board actors who fit in. They're not only terrific actors, they're good people, and that's been one of the joys of the show, is just having people with a good spirit on the set. We haven't got time for massive egos because there's too many of us, and so having Hugh and Laura and Dominic was just a real treat.
Speaking of that large cast, I wanted to ask you, especially the ones that you worked with for many, many years, who is the most different in real life from who they play on Downton?
Oh gosh, that's really tough. Possibly, I don't know. Rob James Collier's popped into my head, who plays Thomas. Who's this sort of dark, saturnine, brooding figure on screen, but he's just a barrel of laughs off. And possibly Phyllis Logan as Mrs. Hughes. Phyllis is probably the most not disorganized, but she can barely turn on her phone. Yet Mrs. Hughes is the most organized and well equipped and most disciplined person, whereas Phyllis is, by her own admission, all over the shop.
Final question. We're an awards website, so I always love to close out with an awards question. You've been a 2-time Emmy nominee, 5-time BAFTA nominee for both film and television there. What was the first big award show you attended? And maybe do you remember a story from that night of attending?
Oh, I can remember vividly when I got a BAFTA nomination for a film called Iris, which I was in with Jim Broadbent and Judi Dench and Kate Winslet, in which I played a younger version of Jim Broadbent. And I was obviously honored to be nominated, and Jim was nominated for Best Actor, and I was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. And it came to the envelope moment, and it said, and the BAFTA goes to, for Best Supporting Actor, goes to Jim Broadbent for Moulin Rouge. So he was greedy that year. He got a for Iris, and he got a BAFTA for Moulin Rouge.
I always thought, because of that relationship of he and Iris, where you're playing the younger version, if they ever did some sort of prequel to Downton when your father was still alive, for some reason I always pictured Jim Broadbent as the father.
That's a great idea. I hadn't thought of that.
He might be too old now to go back and see him, say in his 30s or 40s, but I always wondered, what did Maggie Smith and your father look like back in the day?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, I'll put that to Julian, see how it flies.
Hugh, thank you so much. It's a real pleasure. Love the movie, and I hope everyone goes to see it.
Thanks, Chris. All the best. Bye-bye.